guys, and welcome back to my channel. This here is Chuck Norris. He's actually the little chick that I helped out of his egg, seems like only a few weeks ago. He's so big now. I can't believe how well he's doing. He's very strong and healthy, and he's grown so much. And you can actually check out that video. I will link it down below in the description. I did a video about how I helped him out of his egg. He actually got stuck. He wasn't able to hatch at all himself. There go the peacocks. They sound so pretty, I think. Personally, that's my opinion. Sometimes chicks are too big for their egg and they're actually not able to get out of it, and so I think that's what happened with him, especially since he's had no other health concerns and has been perfectly fine since I hatched him manually. Anyways, you can check out that video down below. I do a lot of videos about animals, so be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can watch more videos. Now today in this video, in between all of the bird noise, I wanted to talk to you guys about clipping flight feathers, clipping wings. I get this question constantly, so I wanted to give my opinion and tell you guys a little bit about it. Now people are constantly asking me my opinions about preventing a bird from flying and how to do it. So before we get into all of that, let's first understand a little bit about the bird's anatomy. Now, so I chose Chuck Norris here because he's pretty friendly and he's going to not protest too much as I show him off. So this is a bird's wing. This is their limb, you know, instead of having arms, and of course they have wings, which helps them to fly. Even ground birds like chickens can actually get off the ground and can fly a little bit. Now, while arms and wings work very differently, they do still have a lot in common. There's bone and muscle and all of that, you know, attaching to work in a similar function. So the same way that you can break your arm, a bird can also break his wing. And if something happens, can you guys hear the bullfrogs? There's bullfrogs in the background. Now, so if something were to happen to the bird and he lost part of his wing, it wouldn't grow back. Just like your arm, if your arm gets cut off, it's not going to grow back. So that's something very basic that I think most of you probably understand. Now, the other thing is that his wing is covered by tons of feathers. So there's certain feathers here that actually enable flight, and of course, you know, the whole wing is covered up by other types of feathers as well. So the thing to understand is that feathers are more like our hair. They don't feel pain, there's no nerve endings through them, and so they fall off and they're replaced, and if they get pulled or cut off, they're also going to grow back just like your hair would. Now, cutting a bird's feathers is not painful, it's not permanent, they do grow back. It's considered inhumane to some people, but that's more of an ethical question. But it's not going to actually hurt them physically. So now that we understand that, I am really surprised at how often I get asked if I clip my bird's wings. That's incredibly cruel, abusive, and it's something that I would never do to an animal. And it's also kind of weird because usually when I'm getting asked these questions, it's in videos with my birds, and my birds are constantly flying around the room and all of that. So I don't quite understand where the question comes from in that aspect. Now, a few people have actually told me that it's not cruel and that when somebody says cutting the wing, they mean the feathers, which is probably true for a lot of people that do say that, but the thing is that it's not actually an accurate statement because cutting the wing is a practice and people don't realize that. So Google pinning and let me know what you think of that, because yeah, people cutting the wing, that's very, very real. So moving on, let's talk about clipping the flight feathers. Now, I get this question a lot, which is kind of weird because if you've seen the videos that I film in my pet studio, all of my birds are flying around, and even in pictures, when I post pictures of my birds, you can see the flight feathers on them. So I don't know why I get that question so much. But so no, I don't cut the flight feathers on any of my birds. Am I against it? Well, not really. I don't think that it should be done. I think that they should be able to fly, but I do also understand that in certain situations it might be better to have their flight feathers clipped. I believe that if you get a pet bird, you should understand that flying is a natural behavior and a natural part of who they are. So if flying is a little inconvenient to you, then maybe a pet bird isn't quite the right pet for you. They love flying, and flying's a great way for them to get exercise. But you do need to make sure that they're getting that exercise in an area that is safe where they're not going to be able to escape. I do believe that trying to change this natural behavior from them isn't really right. And then some people are like, oh, well, birds poop all over the house. And it's like, oh, so glad you were able to discover that very amazing thing about birds that us bird owners just didn't know. But no, really, that's just something that's part of having a bird, is that they are going to poop. And if that's an issue to you, again, that's not the right type of pet for you. However, like I said, I'm not 100% against the idea. For example, if you do have a parrot that has behavioral issues, a lot of times this comes with parrots that have been rehomed or passed around. Clipping the flight feathers might be a really good way to help you train the bird and build a relationship with the bird, so that it's not, flying away from you and all of that. And I see that more as a short-term thing, not a long-term thing for the bird. Now, another time that this is a good option to clip the flight feathers on your bird is when you live with multiple people in your house. So whether you have a large family or you live with roommates, sometimes those people can't be trusted around birds. And if your bird cannot come out of its cage because they're incapable of keeping the doors and the windows closed when you have your bird out, then I think it's a better option to clip the flight feathers. That way the bird's able to come out and exercise and interact with you, and you don't have that constant fear that they could escape. Now, birds don't want to escape. The parrots aren't actually trying to escape. They just see, an open door, an open window, and they go for it, and then they get picked up by the wind, and they get, taken far away, and they're lost before they even realize what's happened. So it's not something that they purposefully do or they're trying to get away from you. It's just that they don't know what's going on, and that's how birds are lost. And for a bird escaping, that's pretty much certain death. Very few birds are reunited with their owner. And like I said, it's just because the wind picks them up and they get taken far away and they don't know how to find their way back home. And then it's also hard to, catch them again. Sometimes other people end up with them, but honestly, they could be states away by the time somebody finds them. And then there's also people that think that clipping a bird's flight feathers means that they're safer. And it is true that flying can be dangerous. And so people like this want to avoid them flying into a wall or a window or other things. But I personally feel that it really comes down to the quality of life that you want to provide for your bird. And of course, there's risks with everything that we do. Look at humans. Humans still go and do things that are very fun and that are risks, but it's because you want to have a fulfilled life, and there's just certain things that you're willing to risk in order to do that. Denying your bird the ability to fly just because you're afraid it's going to hurt itself, I don't think that that's a justifiable reason. So now that I've answered how I feel about it, I do want to show you guys how to do it for your bird. Looking at the wings here, all of these feathers assist in flight. These feathers up here are the primary, and then the smaller ones down here are the secondary. There are a lot of ways to trim these for different purposes and can also depend on the species. Like species like ducks, for example, they're not very good at flying, and you can cut the first couple primary and a few secondary, leaving most of the feathers intact, and then they'll be able to get off the ground but not into the air. If you cut them all straight across, they won't be able to fly at all. Now with parrots, I've noticed that these tactics don't work. If you cut these feathers all straight across, most likely the bird will be able to fly just fine. It will be hard, but they will be able to do it. For parrots, I would cut them all unevenly or cut the primary very short. Whatever you decide to do it to both wings. Don't cut the feathers just on one wing. This is a disaster waiting to happen and increases the likelihood of your bird injuring itself. So now you know my thoughts on this subject, since I get asked all the time. Thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe. Chuck Norris would really like it if you subscribed, and also followed us on Instagram and Twitter. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!